I just spent the week in California. As you know, they are now voting on whether they should become a sanctuary state. So California and the USA are on a collision course. How do you see it?
Well, I think it's ridiculous, sanctuary cities. As you know, I'm very much opposed to sanctuary cities. They breed crime. There's a lot of problems. If we have to, we'll defund. We give tremendous amounts of money to California.
So you're going to defund.
California in many ways is out of control, as you know. Obviously, the voters agree. Otherwise, they wouldn't have voted for me.
So defunding is your weapon of choice.
Well, it's a weapon. I don't want to defund a state or a city. I don't want to defund anybody. I want to give them the money they need to properly operate as a city or a state. If they're going to have sanctuary cities, we may have to do that. Certainly, that would be a weapon.
Go ahead.
The speaker is?
Yes, Ms. Margie Baugh, followed by Catherine Lowe.
Good morning. I'm speaking today in favor of Shasta County complying with current immigration law. Many of the citizens here are concerned about the current actions of the California State Legislature to officially declare California a sanctuary state. This is an action we oppose for serious reasons. Each of the members of the Board of Supervisors has taken an oath to honor and uphold the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of California, and the laws of both governments. Article 1, Section 8 of the U.S. Constitution gives explicit power to establish the rules of naturalization to the Congress of the United States and to enact laws under this given power. Article 3, Section 1 of the California Constitution declares the United States Constitution to be the supreme law of the land. The concept of a city, county, or state declaring itself to be sanctuary for illegal immigrants is in violation of the constitutions of federal and state governments and is a violation of well-established federal law. A purposeful action by the state to abrogate and refuse to honor and follow the Constitution of valid federal law is sedition. Any state that takes such an action could be subject to serious sanctions by the federal government, both criminal and financial. Because these sanctions would affect the entire state, the burden would fall on those who oppose the sanctuary status as well as those who support it. Anyone who is in our country without government permission is in violation of federal law and is therefore a criminal. Harboring a known criminal is a violation of the law and is cause for punishment. Any attempt by the state to circumvent existing federal law places an undue burden on our local law enforcement and becomes a safety issue for the citizens of Shasta County. One need only to look at current sanctuary cities, such as San Francisco, to observe the problems and dangers that exist and should discourage any thought of supporting a sanctuary in California. Therefore, to avoid being in violation of your oath of office, we instruct you and expect you to officially declare your opposition to the actions of the state of California in declaring the area of the 58 counties to be a sanctuary to those people who are in this state illegally, and particularly those who commit crimes while they are here.
Thank you, Ms. Baugh. Our next speaker is
Catherine Lowe, followed by Richard Wilkinson.
Good morning, board members.
Good morning.
My name is Catherine Lowe. I live in District 1. I'm here speaking on behalf of the Peace Initiative of Shasta County. We have some concerns and questions about the proposal for a non-sanctuary resolution. These include the fiscal impact on our community and our county. We understand that our law enforcement could be asked to execute mass deportations at the cost and expense of our local taxpayers' money that come from both citizens and undocumented residents. We are also concerned about how undocumented residents would come forward to law enforcement should they be victims of crime, specifically crimes of child abuse, domestic violence, and rape. We're also concerned whether undocumented residents would still testify. We know that there's been criminals that have successfully been prosecuted in Shasta County based on the testimony of undocumented residents. We wonder, will schools and hospitals be designated as safe places? And we wonder how this will affect our agricultural economy and whether our businesses will still be able to meet their goals. Will they lose a significant number of workers? This is not a comprehensive list. The Peace Initiative thanks the Northern Hispanic Latino Coalition for helping us find resources to develop this list. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lowe.
Richard Wilkinson, followed by Glenn Morris.
Good morning. My name is Richard Wilkinson, and of my 85 years, I've lived 75 years in California, 27 years in the city of Redding. Anyway, since the election, Governor Brown and the loonies down south have gone completely berserk. They actually are disappointed in the election, and they don't want to be under Governor Brown, so they've decided they want to secede from the Union and form a country under the UN. And they also, Governor Brown just declared the state as a sanctuary state. Well, I'm urging the supervisors to tell the governor that we are not going to be a sanctuary county, and we don't want that. And I see only one thing that can stop the supervisors from doing that, and that's because some of them may be missing an important item. And that item is I want you to strap on a pair of gonads and tell the governor that we don't want a sanctuary county. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkinson.
Glenn Morris, followed by Jeff Nelson.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm here to speak about the sanctuary counties. Immigration has always been enforced by the federal government, not the state government. And the state taking this action is an illegal act. Do we have to abide by the laws by an illegal act from a lawless state? Illegal aliens are here illegally. They're here illegally. They are illegal aliens. They broke the law to be here. When they commit a crime against a citizen or citizens of the United States, they are criminal illegal aliens. Excuse me. By not turning these criminal illegal aliens over to the enforcement agency, which would be ICE, that is a criminal act in its own right. You're harboring criminals. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morris.
Jeff Nelson, followed by Chester Samansky.
Supervisors, name is Jeff Nelson, resident of Shasta County, and I'm making it short. Please do not allow Sacramento to do that to our county. Please stand up. We don't want to be a sanctuary county. And there's other counties that are following suit. Please join them, and we'll prevent this craziness from coming up there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson.
Chester Samansky, followed by David Robbins.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to make it short as well. Just recently, Tehama County passed a resolution not to comply with the sanctuary movement that the state has enacted. And I don't agree with the concept of sanctuary cities. I believe it devalues our cities, our state, and our country. My family are immigrants. I'm from a family of immigrants. I believe in immigration. I don't believe in lawlessness. I just encourage you to follow what Tehama County did and do the same thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
David Robbins, followed by Gary Schultz.
Hello, thank you for letting me speak. My name is David Robbins, a resident of Shasta County, proud resident I might add. Concerning sanctuary county status, I believe that no opinion should be rendered, that there should be no action taken, as churches will always be a safe space if they so choose at their discretion, and that churches and individuals will still work with the immigrant community and still be individual sanctuaries. So making an official mandate might be foolish and potentially reflect poorly on you, the County Board of Supervisors, when the mandate is not followed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Robbins.
Gary Schultz, followed by Sally Raposa.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Chairman Kehoe, Board of Supervisors. If the foundations be destroyed, what can the righteous do? We've seen right now what's going on in Sacramento. Again, what somebody had already mentioned with respect to CalExit. And now SB 54, which is the so-called sanctuary state bill. I have personally contacted Jerry Brown's office and Senator President Pro Tem Kevin De Leon, and I've told him to pull the plug on this legislation for many reasons. You know, the United States and California have seen a massive ethnocentric, illegal movement of foreign nationals across our border. This is not immigration. This is a border insurgency. And in consequence of a massive illegal border insurgency, we've seen all kinds of problems, criminal activities, crime, gangs, drugs, and all kinds of other things associated to try to protect this movement. And it's really unfortunate that this whole movement is also, kids have grown up out of this movement. Kevin De Leon is one of them. He's the one that wants to defend this movement, and he wants to legislate and give special illegal alien entitlements and privileges. I mean, this is just ridiculous, the whole process. And now on top of all of these things, they want to make our state a sanctuary state? No. You know, actually sanctuary is the wrong term. It's actually a depraved anarchy. You know, and we've seen all kinds of criminal activities. Long live the memory of Kate Steinle. And if this does pass within the state, I hope and pray that in Washington, D.C., they do pass legislation that does allow citizen suits against jurisdictions that allow this to happen, especially when there's an assault on an American citizen. So I would recommend, I would plead with the board to please pen and pass a resolution that will defy SB 54, that we stand up for our Constitution, that we stand up for American citizens. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz.
Sally Raposa, followed by Donna Ellis.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As alluded to by some of the other people who've spoken today, SB 54 was passed by the Senate this month. And what it does is it restricts state and local law enforcement from using their own resources to aid federal authorities in illegal immigration enforcement. It ties the hands of our local police and sheriff's departments. Also passed that day was SB 6, which would pay the legal fees for the defense of the illegal people being held in the jails. And that's all our taxpayer money. A recent survey from The Hill found that 80% of voters say that local authorities should comply with the law and reporting federal agents and should report to the federal agents illegal immigrants that they come into contact with. What if President follows his promises and comes through and decides to withhold federal money from the state or counties or cities that have declared themselves sanctuary? Public health services, early childhood education, schools, and colleges all receive federal funds. So we would stand to lose those monies, and that represents the poorest among us. In a county that voted overwhelmingly for Trump by 66%, I know that the people in your districts don't want our county to be thumbing our nose at our president. Tehama County has led the way, and Siskiyou County has also signed a similar resolution that we're asking you to do. More counties are looking at doing it as well, such as El Dorado, Del Norte, Lassen, Tuolumne, and Yuba. Having looked at the map of the rural counties of California, it makes me wonder why the 35 counties don't form a block and vote together. Shasta, being one of the most populated of the rural counties, should stand behind its neighbors to the north, Siskiyou, and to the south, Tehama, and stand behind them and support them. It seems that if all the rural counties hung together, they would be less likely to hang separately. Please listen to the people of your county and vote to uphold your oath to protect and defend the Constitution and the will of the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Raposa.
Donna Ellis.
We are a nation of people from many different countries, different lands, but there's a legal way to come into this land, and I am opposed to Sanctuary County, and I hope that you will uphold your oath and that you will honor the Constitution, and that that Shasta County will continue to be a good place to call home. I've lived here most of my life, and I'm proud to say I was born in Lassen County, but Shasta County has been a good place to call home. It was 1957, 60 years ago. I graduated from Anderson High School. It was a good place to grow up, and I hope it will continue to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Ellis. Is there another speaker? Please come forward, identify yourself.
Hi, my name is Norman Brewer. I live in Reading.
How do you spell your last name, Mr. Brewer?
Brewer.
Thank you.
Okay, what I wanted to say was, in 2015, the Ninth Circuit Court voted to ban the American flag on Cinco de Mayo in the public schools, while the Mexican colors are permitted. And just this last Friday, Jorge Ramos, the Univision anchor, declared this is our country, not theirs. And a few days before the November presidential election, at 3:30 a.m., some young men stole the sign from our lawn supporting President Trump, but that was not enough. One of them walked up to our house and bashed in our window with a blunt object. And I realized that this was not just a political statement, this was a social statement. I have a great-grandmother from Brazil. I have another great-grandmother from Mexico. But I am loyal to the American people because it's the people who matter. Government is important, but it is always the people who matter. It's time to choose sides. Either be a patriot and loyal to the American people, or be a traitor and be loyal to the invaders. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brewer. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to address the board?
And then the third item, which I'm sure you're all waiting for me to mention, the question for Shasta County, and it's an important question, is are we a sanctuary county or are we not a sanctuary county? As was mentioned by many speakers today, within Tehama County, President or Chairman of the board, Bob Williams, brought a no sanctuary resolution to his board that basically, and I don't want to try to explain the whole thing, but it basically says that we are going to stand in agreement with federal law when it comes to doing our job as a county. The reason this comes forward is directly linked to SB 54. The state of California seems intent on running headlong in opposition to the federal government. And I tell you, I'm going to take President Trump at his word when he says that he is determined to remove financing from entities that are declaring themselves as sanctuary entities, whether it's the state of California, a county, a city. There are some districts that have decided to take this thought up and declare themselves as sanctuary districts as well. I think it's a question that this board needs to answer. Yes, I understand it would be easier to not have this discussion, but I think that's why we're here, to have the difficult discussions. It's my intention to bring this item forward as an agendized item for discussion, and I understand, Chairman Kehoe, that you want to have a conversation about that as well, so I will defer to that. But I will tell you that it has been stated correctly, Siskiyou County and Tehama County have voted as a no sanctuary county, and their resolutions passed. I spoke with Bob Williams from Tehama County yesterday, and by the way, Bob, just to clarify, he serves as president of our rural county organization, but this is not a rural county item. There was a great deal of discussion. I want to make sure that we are clarifying that.
Sure.
Great deal of discussion down there because you're having lunch together, and there were some speakers during the open time that brought this up, but it was not on our agenda for a board action or a board discussion, just that friendly discussion. But he told me personally that he has been contacted by supervisors from Yuba County, Butte County, Tulum County, Mariposa County, and Del Norte. There were other counties that were mentioned that I have had conversations with as well, so I can verify that. I asked and received permission to be able to mention that our Sheriff, Tomasenko, believes we should also pass a similar resolution here in Shasta County. And in public testimony with the Anderson City Council last week, Chief Johnson stated the same thing with the City of Anderson, as did Mayor Barron Browning, who brought this item to the Anderson City Council's attention, and they are going to have it as an agendized item where I believe it will probably be supported by a majority of the board down there, but that remains to be seen. So it is my goal to bring this to the table for an open discussion at next week's meeting as an agendized item. And for the good of the order, I did ask our legal counsel to take a look at this in advance of this meeting as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baugh. Supervisor Rickard.
This is a difficult topic. I really appreciate all what that speaker's had to say, and I certainly understand where they're coming from. I am a little concerned. I've been doing some research, and I appreciate what County Council has brought forward to us, and it is a very complicated issue, very complicated. I am very concerned about, possibly losing funding because we are responsible to the citizens of Shasta County. But this time, I feel like I feel that we need to kind of monitor the lawsuits that are in process right now, and then I think we need to kind of maybe just hold off a little bit before we go any further with this. And that's just where I'm standing. I'm a little hesitant to move forward at this particular time.
There you go. Thank you, Supervisor Rickard. Okay. Supervisor Morgan, you had something else to add.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. In reference to Mr. Baugh's...
well, let me, may I set the stage?
Yes, sir. Yes.
All right, thank you. Mr. Baugh has suggested, Supervisor Baugh has suggested that we move this item to the regular agenda as an action item. Now, there are two options available to the chairman relative to this request. Number one, the chairman can unilaterally place this item on a future agenda. I am disinclined to do that. Number two, the chairman can query the board members via consensus indication as to their thinking relative to the placement of this item on a future agenda. I will tell you, from my perspective, it is much too premature for the Board of Supervisors to entertain this matter prior to the outcome of legal challenges brought by the City and County of San Francisco and the County of Santa Clara. Additionally, I am of the mind that the County of Shasta should continue to comply with state law, and I will rely on legal counsel to guide me and guide the board in this matter. So now let me entertain the opinions of my colleagues on the Board of Supervisors. We have previously heard from Supervisor Baugh. We've heard from Supervisor Rickard. You've heard from myself, and now we'll hear from Supervisor Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. After doing some research on this particular matter, I find that I can't put this idea on any future agenda until we can find out what the real facts are. Like our chairman said, that there's a couple lawsuits, San Francisco and Santa Clara out there. and we need to find the results of those. I believe also that law enforcement has the necessary tools to enforce whatever needs to be, along with our courts. And until that changes, I'm under the opinion that this could be a future item, maybe in the future, but not at this particular time. I'm just going to have to sit on it, and I think no opinion is a good opinion. And that's all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Ladies and gentlemen, the consensus, I believe, of the board is to not move forward at this time. However, Mr. Baugh, Supervisor Baugh, has the option of bringing this matter forward as a presentation and not as an action item. Mr. Baugh.
Thank you, Chairman Kehoe. And so as a point of order, I will ask the same question of our legal counsel as to whether the chairman has correctly defined our ability as an individual supervisor. Does an individual supervisor have the ability to unilaterally place an item on the calendar as an action item? So in other words, may I, in my elected position as a supervisor, place an item on our agenda for consideration? Or does it have to go through the chairman, as stated? Well, or through the board? I'd like to have legal clarification on that.
Good question, but let me amend that a bit.
Yes.
So the question is, can an individual supervisor unilaterally put an item on the agenda in opposition to the will of the majority of the board? That's the question.
Thank you. I will respond to the inquiries as posed. The law allows this board to establish its rules of procedure, as it has done in the County Administrative Manual. And under those rules of procedure, it has established two different processes that exist for placing items on the agenda. One involves non-action items, such as presentations. And under those rules, any individual supervisor may unilaterally place a non-action presentation item on the agenda. As to action items, they may be placed on the agenda in one of three ways, essentially. One is if it occurs in the ordinary course of business, which are the usual contracts and whatnot that we see on a regular basis, and I would agree this would not be something that comes up in the ordinary course of business. So then the options that exist at that point are either it's placed on the agenda at the direction of the chair or at the direction of the board, so which would then require a majority approval of the board or consensus, as has happened today. So those are in that respect, and then the chairman has accurately stated what are in the current county rules on how action items are placed on the agenda.
Thank you very much for the clarification, and I want to thank each member of the board for clarifying your thoughts on whether this should be placed. Clearly, the board, by consensus, either for or against, can place something on the agenda, and in this case, the board does not wish to place a no sanctuary resolution on our agenda for a vote, and I understand that, and I hear it clearly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Baugh, for bringing this item to our attention. We'll now move to item R4, which is the Shasta County budget.